Hello everyone, I'm Paul and this is problem 3629. Minimum chance to reach end via prime teleportation. This is a medium problem that might be very tricky, so let's see how to solve it step by step. We are given an integer array nums, so let's say that we are given this, and we start from index 0. The goal is to reach the last index, and from any index we can perform one of the following operations. We can take an adjacent step, which is we can move either to the next index or to the previous index, and we can take a prime teleportation, which is if the current number is a prime number, we can jump to any index that's different from the current index, and the new number modulo the current number is equal to 0. In other words, this means that if the current number is prime, we can jump to any other number that has the current number as a factor. Our goal is to get the minimum number of jumps to reach the last index. So we start from index 0. 1 is not a prime number, so we can only take an adjacent step. We can move either left or right. In this case, left is out of bounds, so we can only move right. Next we are here, and 2 is a prime number, so we have a few choices. We could go left, right, or take a prime teleportation and jump to any number that has 2 as a factor. This means that with the prime teleportation we can go to either 4 or 6. Okay, so from this index we can go to any other index. And we are trying to get the minimum number of jumps to reach the last index. So the most intelligent thing here is to take a jump to the last index. By doing this, we go from the source to the destination in 2 jumps, and this happens to be the minimum number of jumps to reach the destination, so the result here is 2. So from 1 we go to 2. From 2 we could go back to 1, but it doesn't make sense because we are trying to reach the destination. If we go back here we have a cycle and we want to avoid this. So from 2 we can go to either 4 or 6. If we take an adjacent step we can go to 4, and if we take a prime teleportation we can go to either 4 or 6. And we need to get the minimum number of jumps to reach 6. So we are looking for the shortest path between the source and the destination. Here the shortest path is this one with a length of 2, and that's why the result is 2. So how can we find the shortest path in an unweighted graph? Well, we can use breadth first search. We start from the source and then we go level by level. From here we can go either left, right, or use teleportation. So after this level we continue with this one. If we are here we have 3 choices again. We can go either left, right, or use teleportation. From here we have 3 choices, from here we have 3 choices, and then we can move to the next level, and so on. As soon as we find the destination, well, this corresponds to the shortest path, so we can return the amount of levels here. In BFS we use a queue because we want to pop elements from the left first. Initially we have a tuple with 0, 0, which corresponds to index 0, and the current number of jumps. This is initially 0. We will have a map to keep track of the indices that we have already seen, so we add the source, and we will have another map to keep track of the prime numbers that we have already seen. You will see why in a few seconds. And now we can say while we have something in the queue, we pop the first tuple. So we pop this and we are working with index 0 and 0 jumps. So now we can check if the next index, meaning 1, is inbounds and we don't have it in the set for the indices that we have already seen, we are good to go. We can add the next index with the current amount of jumps plus 1 into the queue. So here we add the tuple with the next index 1 and the current amount of jumps 0 plus the current jump 1. And we need to add the new index, so here we put the 1. Here we can't go back to the previous index because 0 minus 1 is minus 1 and minus 1 is out of bounds. And this index corresponds to a number that's not prime, so we can't use the prime teleportation either. We only add this tuple. Next we continue with this, so we pop the tuple and we are working with index 1 and 1 jump. We can't go back to the previous index because 1 minus 1 is 0, which is inbounds, but we already have 0 in the set. So what if we want to move 1 step forward? Well, we take 1 plus 1 and this is equal to 2. 2 is inbounds, it's here. and we don't have it in this set, so we can add a tuple with 2 and the current number of champs plus 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, and here we put index 2 in this set. Now this index corresponds to number 2, and 2 is a prime number. And remember that we are running a BFS. We should go from number 2 to the next index, the previous index, and every possible teleportation. Remember that we can only teleport to numbers that have this as a factor. Remember that we can teleport from 2 to either 4 or 6. Now the question is, how can we do this efficiently? For this we can use something called sieve of Eratosthenes. In case you know how this works, I will leave a link in the description. This will give us an array which will tell us which numbers are prime and which are not. For example, index 0 is not prime, so here we have false. Index 1 is not prime, so here we have false. Index 2 is a prime number, so this is true. Index 3 is a prime number, so this is true, and so on. And we can use this to build something called the smallest prime factor at every step. So we have an array of the same length, which is 10 to the power of 6, by the way, because that's the maximum number that we can have in this array. So this has a length of 10 to the power of 6, and we are storing the corresponding smallest prime factor at every step. For index 0 and index 1, we have no prime factors, so we'll say that these are 0 and 0. For number 2, the smallest prime factor is 2. For number 3, it's 3. For number 4, it's 2, which means that if we do 4 modulo 2, the result is 0. This is the smallest prime factor of this number. The smallest prime factor of number 6, for example, is 2 also. And now with this, we can get all the prime factors of these numbers. So we can go through these indices one by one from left to right. We start from number 1. So we can have a function to get factors, and we call this with number 1. Given that 1 is smaller than 2, we have no prime factors here, so we return an empty set. Next, we continue with this number 2. So here we need to return a set with the prime factors of 2. For this, we have the array. We go to index 2 here. The smallest prime factor is 2, so we add it here. And well, now we need to update this number. So we do 2 divided by the new factor 2, and this is equal to 1. Given that this is more than 2, we end here and return a set with 2. Next, we are here. The current number is 4, so we call the function with 4. And here we need to return a set. First, we go to SPF at index 4, which means that we are here and the smallest prime factor is 2. So we do 4 divided by 2, and this is equal to 2. We need to add 2 to the prime factors, so here we put 2. And now we need to repeat the same process with 2. So we go to SPF at index 2, and here we have a 2. We add 2 to the set, and given that this is a set, we don't have repeated values. So that's it, we get a set with 2. And now we need to update this once again until it's smaller than 2. So we do 2 divided by 2, and this is equal to 1. Now 1 is more than 2, so we return this. Finally, we have 6. So we call the function with 6, and we need to return a set. First, we check what's the value for SPF at index 6, and we know that this is 2. So we add 2 here as a factor, and we need to update this number while it's larger or equal to 2. So we do 6 divided by 2, and this is equal to 3. Now we check what's the value for SPF at index 3, and it's 3. So we add 3 as a factor. We need to update this number. So we do 3 divided by 3. This is equal to 1. Now this is more than 2, so we return a set with 2 and 3. So with this information, we can build a map which we will call groups. Here we can have primes as keys, and values are arrays with indices corresponding to the numbers in which we see each prime. Let's see what this means. We start here, and we have no prime factors, so we don't add anything here. We can continue with this. If we call a function with 2, that will give us a set with 2, which means that we only have one prime factor. So we need to add 2, and the corresponding value for this is an array with the index of this number. This is index 1, this is 0, this is 2, and this is 3. So we add this, here we put a 1. Next we are looking at this scenario, which means that we are here. Number 4 has only one prime factor, which is 2. So we go to groups at 2 and add the current index. This is index 2, so here we put 2. Finally, we are here, the number is 6, and we have 2 prime factors. We already have 2 in groups, so we can add the current index in this array. This is index 3, so here we put 3. Now here we have another prime factor which we don't have in the map, so we add 3 as a key, and here we have an array with the current index 3. So now going back to the queue, we were looking at this tuple, the index was 1, which means that we were looking at this element and the corresponding number is 2. First we need to check if this is a prime number. For this we have the map and we do have number 2 as a key, so this is a prime number. And this is a prime factor of the elements that we have in the indices 1, 2, and 3, meaning these 3 elements. So we could go from index 1 to 2 or from 1 to 3. Now let's say that we want to go from 1 to 2. Well, we already have 2, so we can continue with the next path. We can go to index 3 because we don't have 3 here, so we add it, and we need to add a tuple with the new index and the current number of champs 1 plus the current champ. This is 2. And now we have already seen this prime number, so we need to add it to this set for primes that we have already seen. And maybe you are wondering, why do we have a set with prime numbers? Why don't we just stick to this set with indices that we have already seen only? Well, the answer is that if we have a repeated prime number, let's say that next we have a 2 at index 4, we don't want to go over these indices again. If we have this at index 4, this means that here we have an array with 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we are here at index 1, we are going through all the elements in this group, including 4. Then when we are here at 4, we don't want to go over the same elements. So it's very important to keep track of the prime numbers that we have already seen, so we don't visit the same group again. Now we can continue with the queues. So we pop the leftmost element, we pop this tuple, we are looking at index 2 and the number of champs is 2. First we need to check if 4 is a prime number. So we go to groups and here we don't have 4, so this is not prime, which means that we can go only either left or right. In this case we don't go left because we have index 1 in this set, and we don't go right because we have index 3 in the set also. So we can continue with the next tuple. We pop this, now we are looking at index 3 and this happens to be the index n-1. So this is the destination, which means that this is our base case. As soon as we find this, we need to return the number of champs, in this case 2. So this is the result. Now with this in mind, let's go with the code and hopefully you will get the idea. First we can start with the sieve part, so we can go up here because we are using the same for every test case. We can say that the maximum possible number is 10 to the power of 6. This is in the constraints. And we add 10 just in case. Now we need an array, sieve. So this is an array with true times the maximum number. And we will say that sieve 0 and sieve 1 are false and false, which means that numbers 0 and 1 are not primes. And we can use this algorithm to get the smallest prime factor at every step. So this is an array with 0 times mx, and we can say for I in range from 2 to mx, we check if sieve I is true. We can say that the smallest prime factor I is equal to I. And for j in range, we go from I plus I or I times 2 to mx in steps of I, and every time sieve at j is equal to false. This is standard sieve of Eratosthenes. I will leave a link for this in the description. And we can use this to say that if the smallest prime factor at shay is equal to 0, we set SPF shay to I. Okay? And well, now we can build our function to get factors. This takes some number. We can say that the result is an empty set initially. We want to return this set, and here in between we can say while the number is greater than 1, we say that the current prime is SPF at x, and we can add it to the result. So here we add the prime, and then we can update x. So this is divided equal p. This will go on and on while x is greater than 1, and finally we return all the prime factors of x. Now we can continue with the main function. First, n is the length of nums. We have a map groups. This is a default dictionary with a default value of an empty array, so here we use the word list. And now we can say for every index and value in enumerate nums, we say for every possible prime in get factors with x groups at p dot append the current index. This is exactly the same to what we did in the drawing. Now we can build our queue, which is a deck in Python because we have to pop elements from left, and we need to add a tuple with 0, 0. Remember that index 0 corresponds to the index 1 is the number of shams. Now we need two sets, sin I, this is an empty set, and sin primes, this is an empty set also. And we need to add to sin I the source, okay, 0. Now we can continue with the BFS, so we can say while we have something in the queue, we pop the leftmost element, queue.popLeft, and this will give us two values, I and some number of shams. Now if I is equal to n-1, we are at the destination, so we can just return the number of shams. Else we can go either right, left, or use the prime teleportation. So what if we decide to go right? Well, we can say if I plus 1 is inbounds, meaning it's more than n, and we don't have I plus 1 in sin I, this means that we can go right. So queue.append a tuple with I plus 1 and the current number of shams plus the current sham, and sin underscore I dot add the next index, I plus 1, okay? Now, what if we are trying to go left? We can copy what we did before and say that if I minus 1 is inbounds, meaning it's greater or equal to 0, and we don't have it in the set, we add the corresponding tuple and we add the corresponding index to the set. What if we use the prime teleportation? Well, first we need to check that the current number is a prime. So if nums I in groups, meaning if the current number is prime, and not nums I in sin p, meaning if this is the first time that we see this prime, we can say sin p dot add the current prime, and now we can say for every shay in groups nums I, we check if not shay in sin I. Well, in this case we can go to the next index, so we add a tuple with shay and the current number of shams plus 1, and we need to add to sin underscore I dot add shay, okay? So this is the entire code. At some point we will reach the destination and return the number of shams, so we don't have to return anything down here. This is it. Now let's submit this and see if it works. As you can see, this works and it's very efficient. Regarding the complexity, up here it's big O of 1 because we can consider this as a constant number, and this requires big O of log x. So we can say that overall time complexity is big O of n times log of the maximum value in nums plus n because of this BFS, and overall space complexity is roughly big O of n. So this is it for this problem. This is the first part, and this is the second part. If you found this useful, please drop a like, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.